I have been fighting against Islam alone, by myself, for so many years. And I don't need the permission from nobody. If they want me to cease to exist, this means that I have to fight for my life. And you are in the same position right now. I'm not calling for a religious war. There has been a religious war. I got canceled many, many years ago, some 15 years ago, when I started criticizing and questioning the scripture in Islam that encourages Muslims to harm and kill Jewish people. And I think the Jewish people are a very peaceful nation that does not look to harm the Muslims. But at least I think that we have the right, you have the right, to question and say, what's going on here? Why the scripture is inciting against the Jewish people, and what the world is doing about it. What other major religions is doing about it. And this is why I changed my strategy, that this is not only about Palestine. Palestine is non-existential. It's just a device that the Muslims use as a weapon against Israel and as a weapon against the Jewish people. Fundamentally, Muslims think that Allah hates the Jewish people. And how can they love the Jewish people if their God that they bow 20 times a day hates the Jewish people? So I am not here to speak against the Muslims, but I want you to be aware of this fundamental problem, at least in your subconscious. You need to have this somewhere, that we have an existential threat. And now you see it in reality, how they were able to just turn the narrative against Israel in no time. And this is why from the beginning of the war, I said, Muslims, you have to back off. This is not acceptable to take the side of a terrorist group that just committed a genocide, a capital crime, unforgivable crime, by the name of resistance and by the name of occupation, colonialism, etc. Not acceptable. And now we have hundreds of millions of Muslims and Arabs spreading propaganda. And as you see, when people see it thousands of times per day, they start believing in it. It becomes real. So it is the time to move from defense to offense, to call things for what they are, to see them for what they are, and there is no need to be afraid. There is no need for us to be depressed. I have been fighting against Islam alone, by myself, for so many years. And I don't need the permission from nobody. If they want me to cease to exist, this means that I have to fight for my life. And you are in the same position right now. I'm not calling for a religious war. There has been a religious war. And it's about time to wake up. I'm not saying that we go on a war with the Muslim people, but at least we need to educate the rest of the world that we are in danger. Some people out there, hundreds of millions of them, want us dead. And we have to defend ourselves. Hamas is not only acting on their own. They belong to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood belongs to a religion. And that religion has a scripture. And it's about time to open the books for the rest of the world. The majority of the world are with the Jewish people. Hinduism, they understand the Islamic danger. Buddhism, Buddhists, Christians, and it's about time. We need some help from the big majority religions to stand with us, because this is an existential fight. And if we don't win, it is going to be a disaster. The whole globe is going to go into chaos. I did not mean to talk about Islam this much, but in my opinion, Palestine, the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Muslim Brotherhood, all of them are inspired by the same death cult. Yasser Arafat was a Muslim Brotherhood. Abdullah Azzam was a Muslim Brotherhood. Osama bin Laden was a Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood. All of them are Muslim Brotherhood. So we have a big problem that we need to wake up. And if we don't keep ignoring and denying the existential threat, then we will have to face it eventually when it's too late. Palestine depends on the destruction of Israel. If there is any definition of Palestine, it means the absence of Israel. This is what Palestine is. And now, they got legitimacy somehow. But we ask them the question, what is Palestine? Is it an ethnic group? Is it a religion? Is it a distinct language? Do you have scripture? Are you a nation? Were you a country? None of that. So what is Palestine? And what is the purpose of Palestine? So for those who are representing the two-state solution, and I try to conclude, they want Israel to cease to exist, or they are not aware of this existential threat. Because in my opinion, Hamas is a small threat comparing to the Palestinian Authority. All this global chaos is managed by the Palestinian Authority, by the PLO. It's not Hamas propaganda. It's the one who sits in Ramallah, pay all the advocates worldwide through their embassies. Those are the ones who are fighting against Israel's legitimacy. So we need also to be aware of this big problem. There is no way for Israel. I just came back from Israel, and I know the Israeli street vibe. I met with thousands of people on the street. I talked to so many people, and nobody can afford a Palestinian state that is hostile to Israel. What happened on October 7 cannot be ignored. And I have been warning against this issue. You cannot give them Judea and Samaria. You cannot give them the mountains. You cannot sacrifice the Jordanian Valley. This is a defense line. And I speak from security point of view. You see, I speak now like a right-wing Jewish extremist. But this is my understanding. Look, I have 10 years of counterterrorism experience on a regular basis. We are dealing with explosions, suicide bombers. The situation was out of control. This is my background. And when I think with a security background. And we cannot afford the masses of Arabians just invading, breaking the fence, and all of a sudden, what is that? 10 mile? What's
9 miles? Israel's waste at 9 miles at Tukar.
Okay. And up to this point, the Palestinian Authority has sponsored terrorism. They encouraged terrorism. Yasser Arafat was a terrorist. I was in his meeting when he gave my father the authority to blow up buses, markets, beaches during the Second Palestinian Intifada. It was the piece of information that I gave to the Israeli Shin Bet that was provided to the United Nations to condemn Yasser Arafat as a terrorist. I was in that meeting. And we are talking about a con artist, Egyptian con artist, that is the father of the Palestinian cause. So now we are dealing with an ideology. Palestine is not a country. It should not get more legitimacy because it's only an ideology, and this ideology needs to be countered. As long as the false narrative is there, it will keep rolling like a snowball, and we will have to deal with the consequences. So now, I agree with them that our strategy should shift from defense to offense. We need to expose the false narrative. And when the world understands that there is no such thing as Palestine, that is just a false narrative. And the Palestinian entire narrative is the victim narrative that has nothing to do with reality, self-inflicted pain. This is what they've been doing. They brought themselves here, they brought the whole world here. It's not Israel's responsibility. Once we are able to mobilize Hollywood, journalism, everybody to bring the truth of this scam, political scam, then we may have a better chance to communicate with these people. But as long as they are living in this fantasy, we are not able to communicate with them. We are not able to please them or satisfy their ambition because it's a black hole. You give them East Jerusalem tomorrow, then they are going to say, we want West Jerusalem. If you give them the 1967, they are going to say, I want the whole thing. And they will continue to be a hostile. So now we are in trouble. It's a big problem. It is a big problem. So is there a solution? And Dan and I, we've been discussing this. Yes, there is a solution. But first of all, we have to get anchored in the truth and face reality, face things as they are. As long as we try to escape it, we are not able to provide a good solution for this problem. There are Arabs. I don't think that they're Palestinians. They're just carrying a false identity around. We are not Palestinians. When I was born, I had a Jordanian birth certificate, as millions of the people who were born there. So, first of all, we need to ask the people, what makes you a Palestinian? You are Arab. This is your ethnicity. And I don't think there is a problem between Arabs and Jews to get along. We have 2 million Arabs in Israel, even though I am not sure about their loyalty. And this is something also need to be taken into consideration. What we need a solid police force. We don't need 40 or 50,000 armed militia with Kalashnikovs all over the place protecting the governing authority. What do I want to do with all this? So first of all, we must disarm the Palestinian Authority. We don't need so many guns. We need a police force that is not corrupted, that can keep order for the Palestinians. Then it can assure Israel's security. Mahmoud Abbas will die sooner or later. The man is at the edge of collapse. And everybody is counting on Mahmoud Abbas. What's the day after Mahmoud Abbas? Who's going to rule the show? Who's going to be the player? They are conflicted people. So counting on the Palestinian Authority is a form of insanity. This is for the people who just like putting their head in the sand. They're not realizing. We are betting on a dying thing. Actually, it's already dead. So we need to find an alternative. And what we need a police force. And by the way, my wild opinion, let Arab rule Arab. How about mandatory recruitment to the Arabs, to the Israeli Arabs, to rule the Arabs in the West Bank? One solution. Okay, not so many enthusiasm for this. But Arabs know how to deal with Arabs. It's not Israel's fault to manage the Arab madness. If it's not that, it could be the Jordanian intelligence, it could be the Egyptian intelligence, it could be a confederation with Jordan, with Egypt. It could be whatever, but not the Palestinian Authority as is today. This arrangement I don't like because they are deceptive, they are double-faced, they are untrustworthy, and they are hostile to Israel wherever they go. With that said, we need an alternative, and I think there is a possibility of a loyal, responsible force in the West Bank that will take care of the security not only of the Arabs of Judea and Samaria, but also of the Jewish state security needs. This is on one hand. On the other hand, economy. The world has been investing so much money into the Palestinian Authority. And look at their operation. Worldwide embassies, delegations, ambassadors, how much is that budget, the annual budget, only to pay for the Palestinian Authority ambassadors and their entourage? Instead of all this, the Arabs in the West Bank don't need all this money spent, hundreds of millions of dollars on nonsense. We could have directed that money to build the economy for the generation in the West Bank. And this is where we need to shift strategy. Then, education. Education, I'd start with educating the Arabs of the West Bank on the Holocaust. This should be mandatory for every Arabian to learn from the Jewish experience, that never be a victim, to rise above pleasure, to rise above pain. This is the model that inspires me. But to stay a victim in victimhood, this is not acceptable. So Palestine is not going to solve the human condition in the West Bank. It is not going to solve the problem. Actually, it's creating more problems. With that said, we need to really have a deep look into the situation and be honest with ourselves. Is this serving the Arabs? Is this serving the Jews? Is this securing the future of the generation or not? Then after that, we make our decisions. Thank you, and I appreciate your patience.